Hi everyone, welcome back. I've really enjoyed watching you make your coil pots. Now it's time for us to add some color. Today we're going to be using analogous color, which if you can remember from our oil pastel project, are colors that are right next to each other or neighbors on the color wheel. Before we start painting, let's talk about some of the information that we learned last time, and then I'll give you some information on what we're doing today.
Today we'll be making a sculpture. A sculpture is different from what we've done before because it is not flat. It is something that you can view and enjoy by even walking around it. We're going to be using the word and vocabulary of texture. Raise your hand if you know what texture means. Okay, turn and talk to a partner. What do you think this sculpture might feel like? What is its texture? Texture is not always things that you can feel. For instance, this image is very flat because it's just a digital image and someone drew it. But the way we look at it and the way it makes us feel, it's almost kind of like hills. So it still has texture, even though it's something that we can't necessarily reach out and feel. Raise your hand. What are some other textures that you can think of? Today we'll be using something called clay. We're going to be using air hardening clay, so it's not something that I have to put into an oven and cook. It's something that will dry overnight. So this is a project that we will only be doing for today because it will be dry by next time that I see you. Clay is a special kind of soil from the earth, which is created when rocks start to hit each other under the earth, and they start turning powdery, and then they get mixed with water and they saturate. So it's kind of like a very thick mud. When clay is cleaned and refined, it makes an exceptional material for pottery. Pottery is like bowls and dishes and things that we use. Oftentimes, they used a technique called coiling, which we will try today, to create their works of art. Pottery is a very prominent part of Texas culture because the indigenous peoples or the Native Americans that lived here definitely used pottery to create the tools that they needed for life, but also decorated them as a way of art. However, I want you to know that clay was not only used for pottery, but had many other purposes as well. Today we'll be studying the word emphasis. We're gonna give emphasis to our coil pots today. What emphasis means is that it looks different from everything else. It really grabs your attention. So just like this red umbrella really stands out with all these other black or gray umbrellas, it has emphasis. It really draws our attention. So take a look here. I'm gonna give you a moment to kind of think about what kinds of colors that you might want to use. I'll go ahead and give you an example. So today I'm gonna be using red, which is in that very top right, and then orange, which is next door, and then yellow. So my three neighbors right there, I can use those colors to paint today because those are analogous. They are right next to each other on the color wheel. But you could also do blue, turning into purple, turning into red. So here are my colors, red, orange, and yellow, because they're analogous. I'm going to use these colors to paint my little coil pot. So I've painted a little bit. I'm kind of just following the textures that I made last time. You don't have to do it, but otherwise I'm just kind of being crazy and going for it, very abstract. I need to clean my brush because now it's time that I want to use the orange and the yellow. I don't want to mess up those colors, so I'm going to take my brush, place it in the water, remember swirl, dip, let it drip, and then we need to dry off. You need to give it a little dab. No, not this kind of dab, this kind of dab. Make sure your brush is clean. You may have to go back and do it again just to make sure that your brush is completely clean, and then you can go into the next color.
So now it's time to clean out the paint tray, and there is plenty of paint in there. See, I told you you wouldn't need that much. I'm gonna turn the water on. Now I'm just turning it on low pressure. I don't need the high pressure, it's just low, otherwise you're gonna get wet. I'm gonna take this big paintbrush, these are for the cleaning. I'm gonna get it wet underneath the water, and just start painting the paint away. I know that seems a little bit weird, but it works. So now we have our coil pots painted, where today we're going to be adding something called Mod Podge. So Mod Podge is kind of like a glue, but it makes things look very shiny and glossy. And if something is shiny and glossy, we're talking about an object's, I hope you said texture. We're adding texture. If we're making something shiny, we're giving an object texture. So you're gonna be needing one of these. It looks like a little cup full of white glue, but it is not white glue. It is Mod Podge. And we are going to be painting our coil pot with the Mod Podge. It may look a little bit odd at first, but it always dries clear and shiny. So now I've painted the sides with Mod Podge. I know it looks a little weird right now, but when it dries, it's gonna dry super shiny and glossy, and you'll still be able to see all your colors. Of course, we don't wanna paint the bottom because then your awesome coil pot will be glued to the table, and that won't be very helpful, will it? I do need you to put the Mod Podge on the inside, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. So I went ahead and painted the inside, but I wanted you to notice that I did not paint the rim of my cup. Today, I wanted to give you the option of adding some emphasis to your coil pot. So emphasis means something that really gets your attention. I have a few cups of metallic paint. We can use this on the rim of the cup to add some emphasis. Now you don't have to. If you want to keep your colors the way they are, that's fine. I chose not to put my Mod Podge on the rim of the cup so that I could add some emphasis with this paint. Now it's really important with the Mod Podge that you make sure that you close it up when you are done so it doesn't dry out. Also clean your brush. It's really important that you dip, swirl, let it drip, and then dab, no, not this kind of dab, dab on a piece of paper towel so that my brushes don't dry out. Otherwise, I will be very upset with you. Now I can go ahead and use this gold and add it to the rim of my cup. Now, it doesn't show up that well, which is why I kind of saved this for the end so that you could just see the texture that the metallic paint makes. The inside of my cup is still drying from the Mod Podge, but the outside is looking a little bit more dry, and I can see that it's turning very shiny. Remember, once you're done, please clean your brush, swirl it, swirl it, swirl it. Once everyone's done using the water cup, please place it near the sink, please. You don't have to clean it out. Also, please make sure that my lids are back on the Mod Podge and the metallic paints today. I am so excited to see what y'all are gonna do. I think this is gonna be awesome. Have an awesome day.